So away we go. I don't know who wants to go first, but why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm one of the owners here at Caretakers Cottage. I'd say like probably Matt, Rob, and I all individually are probably on the same level of time spent in hospitality. We're kind of hitting like 20, 25 years each a piece. I think all of us kind of started out like during or after we kind of finished high school. And I know for me personally, I kind of did it as something to do while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden it was 10 years later and you're managing a venue and you love it, and that's it from there. I kind of originally grew up in Queensland. I moved down to Melbourne after doing some time in Shanghai, working there in some bars and restaurants, and then, just through kind of like channels, Rob and I kind of got connected, and then we kind of then got connected with Matt. Matt and Rob also have a bit of a connection where Matt was kind of managing a bar. So Rob was managing a bar and then kind of handed over to Matt when he went back overseas for a bit. So there was already a bit of a relationship there. But then the three of us kind of organically kind of like grew together, and then it's been kind of like the three of us since then. Yeah.
Yeah, Rob Libecans, again, one of the owners here at Caretakers Cottage. Yeah, like 23 years, I think, for me. Just started working in pubs and nightclubs when I was younger. Like in Liverpool, a lot of pubs have like betting shops attached to them, and you end up cleaning ashtrays, putting bets on for people, and then you're allowed to pull pints when you're just about old enough. And then I started working into cocktail bars, started traveling a lot. I've lived in London for 10 years, Ibiza for 3, and then Melbourne and Sydney now for like close to 15 years. So yeah, I think we've all worked at like really high-end bars, a lot of bars that have been in the top 50, or at least companies that have gone on to do them. We worked for them pretty early. I was like employee number 1 for the Mr. Lion Group, which we still have a really close relationship with. And then, yeah, we set up a business doing pop-ups all around the world, about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yep.
And then while we were doing that, we were looking for a site and we just didn't find anything. And then the week that we went into the first lockdown, we found this place, which, for most people is pretty poor timing, but for us, it gave us an opportunity to work through something that was going on that changed everyone's life. It also put us in a great bargaining position where no one was stupid enough to pick up a lease during a lockdown, where I think, we're quite well known for what people see as problems, we see as opportunity. And this place has a lot of opportunity. So I think that's very much like a hallmark of what we do.
And so tell us a little bit about Caretakers Cottage.
We're now licensed for 80 people. When we first opened, we were 50. We have 33 seats. It's a 106-year-old bluestone cottage situated behind a church with the only legal drinking park, probably in Australia, certainly in Victoria. We set out to open a pub. We talk about it like it's a pub. We sell thousands of Guinness every week. Like it's a big drive what we do, but naturally because we come from cocktail bars, it's a big push on what we do as well. It's kind of what we're known for.
I think it was like, yeah, definitely like we are like, we are a cocktail bar here. Like cocktails are the number one thing we sell, but I think the three of us all have love and adoration for pubs. I think like it's such an ingrained kind of concept here in Victoria where everybody has their local, everybody's there on Sundays, and definitely like the service and the style and how we kind of approach customers here is definitely in a pub, very kind of friendly, very kind of like disarming kind of service. Yeah.
In terms about the aesthetic here, it looks kind of like it's got some history, this building.
It's 106 years old. Yeah, so this actually was originally the like former cottage for the caretaker who looked after the church grounds. It actually, I think it was like November, October last year, we had a woman come through who was actually the daughter of the last caretaker who lived here. And she was like, that was my room just there, which is now the prep room.
It's quite emotional.
It was
like,
cool, yeah.
When she was talking about it, we felt that we were damaging her memories. Mm-hmm. And that hurt. And then when she explained it, was like, it's really nice to see people enjoying the space. Mm-hmm. And that kind of like changed our mind. The building is old and it's gone through, having caretakers families here It was a house or like a halfway house for refugee families for years with a humanitarian aid agency. It was the head office for the Big Issue in here in Victoria as well, and then it was pretty derelict. They had
Yeah.
drug dealers and squatters and stuff living here, and then they started to do a bit of structural repair, and that's
Yeah.
kind of when we found it. So yeah, it's had a lot of lives. I like to think that we're not the last iteration of what this building is. I hope we're certainly the longest, but
The good thing was that we didn't have to do too much to it. Like there was already heaps of character here, so all we had to do was really kind of, put in a bar, put in some stools, and you're really just kind of like adding the kind of like cherry on top. To be honest, yeah. But when people walk in, it automatically kind of has a nice kind of warm, homely feel to it, which is really important for us.
So you're like the new caretakers.
yeah, that's it. That's it. We're just
Pretty
there's
much,
just one
yeah.
custodian of it at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's loads of natural light in here. It's dysfunctional because whatever position you're in, you can't see every aspect of the venue. So, like for New Zealand liquor licensing law, this wouldn't get a license. You have to see every point of contact where a guest can be. So for us, it's like we're pretty fortunate to get. I mean, listen, we have a church 20 meters away from our venue, which is enough to put a lot of people off, really. But it's unique. We love it, but there's no natural layout. We always say to it, it's like it's okay. Everyone's in the way. I think once you accept how busy it gets and how little space there is, it becomes kind of quite fun.
Yeah. A lot of focus gets put on our floor service to ensure that customers are never kind of feeling like they're in your way, or if you put them into a spot that kind of might seem like it's kind of like in a corner or like shunted away, it's actually one of the best spots in the venue. It's like you kind of have to kind of make sure everyone kind of feels safe and comfortable. Yeah.
And of course, the reason that people come here is for the cocktails. So do you want to talk about what kind of cocktails you do?
There's two things that don't change on our menu since day one. We always have our house martini on the menu, of which we probably do probably close to 12,000 a year. We sell Guinness, it's the beer that will never leave. So quiet day, 100, 150. St. Patrick's Day, 900. So like, can you start counting how many chairs there aren't versus how much we sell? It's pretty high turnover. The menu changes every month, so that's design, layout. We have 3 classic cocktails done our way, so that's using a technique that can possibly update it, or using local ingredients, or particularly a lot of local brands that we fold into there. And then 3 contemporary drinks, which are kind of our unique creation for that month. And then a rotating milk punch, which is always kind of identified by either it's a past cocktail, a flavor pairing, or like what we tend to do is quite a famous dessert within Victoria, like pull from a restaurant or a cafe or whatever, and then make that into a milk punch. Ryan changes the design, does all the design work. This month we base it off like pictures that we took from our travels through Europe. 12 new looking menus and feel every year. For the amount of regulars that we have here, it allows them to explore and be excited by something new rather than something that's static and they felt like they drank everything.
Yeah, it kind of keeps your personality fresh. It's nice.
And your cocktails are now, in a very short period of time, starting to get noticed. Your bar is starting to get noticed. How does that feel?
Feels great. It feels really good to get acknowledged for the hard work that all the staff put in. Like it's a pretty kind of rigorous kind of like prep and kind of like creative program that we have here. But I think the number one thing we always kind of tell ourselves is that we don't really want to change anything that we do. Like awards are great, but the most important thing is that our customers can come in and get the exact same service I got last week as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it allows someone that would be normally out of our remit to be able to find this place, that's the best thing about it.
Yeah.
I think I don't think we ever set out to win awards. It's great, but if it puts another bum on seats, then that's the best thing. Because once they're in front of us, like we can do everything for them. Like we always kind of say that we have a fine dining approach to having a pub.
Yeah.
You know, it's all those little systems, and if you can use the best ingredients, if you can put the best drink out, no matter how busy you are, that's our service standard.
I think the biggest challenge these guys have, like Rob heads up the creative with Kitty and Darren, you know, and like I think what they put out is pretty phenomenal, considering that, you know, on a Friday one bartender has to kind of make between 400 and 500 cocktails, you know. So like, could we use a rotovap? Can we get better techniques, and can we use more interesting flavors? Absolutely. But I think what they do is they produce really amazing drinks within the confines of what this building can kind of pump out as well. You know, I think when we first started out, it was the idea that it was just going to be me, Matt, and Rob working here, and we'd have 35 people on stools, you know, and we do a little bit of Guinness, we do some cocktails and bits and pieces, and then you kind of like shoot to now where we've got a 17 plus strong team. You know, a pretty comprehensive kind of prep and creative program. Like it's become a pretty big beast. So I'm pretty proud of us for delivering what we do. I think it's pretty incredible. Yeah.
And I'll see that there's some vinyl on the background as well. So you like to mix some cocktails with some music?
It is, well, the three of us who own it are obsessed with music. We each have like really different like backgrounds and tastes, but together we're kind of molded into one and ever evolving. But yeah, like we set out to play music as like a big part of who we are, and now there's maybe 5,000-6,000 records in the building. We have to play music and also mix while you're making drinks. So that's 400 cocktails and to DJ at the same time. It is completely too much to ask of anyone. But it's also what's kind of what makes this place really unique. I know I can walk onto the bar in the morning when I come in, root through the records, and I know who was working last night. And I think that's really nice. It's really personal.
Yeah. Means every night you're getting a pretty unique tailored set.
Yeah. We do have to put all the staff through like DJ school as well, which, you know, is a big plus point for working here as well. We kind of hire people that have their own unique taste in music. And this just allows them just to express it in work, where normally, you know, everything's curated off a playlist or whatever. Staff have full autonomy when it comes to music.
That's great. As the girl from Melbourne, I want to know what the two fellas who are not from Melbourne think about the city and running a business here, and, you know, what is the draw card for you guys? Why is Melbourne the place that you ended up not creating a pop-up but building it?
I think it's the lifestyle down here.
Yeah, it's just, it's really chilled, but it's also fiercely loyal. You know, every venue you go into in Melbourne is owner operated. I know if I go into Gerald's bar in Rathdown Street, Gerald will be there 4 days a week. There's something really comfortable about that. It feels European.
Yeah.
You know, everyone is interested in food. Like if you're finding bad food and coffee here, you've gone looking for it. There's an attention to detail and quality here I don't think exists anywhere else in Australia. Not that those standards aren't high, but they're not close to what Melbourne needs and wants.
It's just a relaxed place. Like I moved from Brisbane to Shanghai and then came back to Brisbane, and Brisbane was too small after living in Shanghai, and then moved down here and then fell in love with it straight away. That was like 14, 15 years ago. And then my mum, my brother, my dad, the rest of my family all moved down here as well. So we're all kind of Melburnians now, and like all love it for the same reason too. Yeah.
Mexicans.
Yeah.
Isn't that great though? Like, you know, I think we've got 4 people now.
3 or 4, yeah.
That are actually from Melbourne.
Oh, wow.
Like, you know, everyone's kind of migrated here, stayed after university.
See you Wednesday.
But you know, it's a draw card for people who have different interests or want to be part of subcultures that don't exist anywhere else.
It's like down here too. I know, like for restaurants as well. Like it seems like maybe it's happened in the last kind of 5 years, but it just seems like a lot of young chefs have really kind of like, it's a great place for young chefs and young entrepreneurs to kind of get out there and try things, because Melbourne's such a dense city, but it's not all in the CBD. Like there's so many inner city suburbs, and after COVID, kind of like secondary, kind of like suburban areas that all have kind of been enriched by operators moving out. You have all these little great kind of like up and coming kind of like operators and restaurateurs and bars all just starting up further out, and it's great. Like it just adds like an extra level of kind of competition, I guess, and like creativity. It doesn't make it kind of like a monoculture, I guess, when it's all in the city, kind of just providing to one kind of like clientele. It's either your kind of corporate during the week or your weekend trade. Like the bars and restaurants that are out in the city, out in the suburban areas, have a totally different kind of way they approach stuff. I think
Yeah.
it's really good.
Trey in Melbourne started in someone's house,
Yeah.
and now is 2.5 hours away. Like, and they have to do lotteries to get a seat at the restaurant, and people go. Like, it's full all the time.
Yeah.
It's not just, if you're not in the city, you can't compete. Like, it's too easy.
Yeah. I'd almost say like the city now is kind of the slowest to kind of return back to any type of normality after COVID, and I think it never really will. Like for us, we never really kind of had to kind of like deal with the kind of the black and white of it. It's like, or the before and after. Like, for us, since we opened post COVID, it's always been 3-day work weeks in the city. Thursday is now kind of like the unofficial Friday. Friday is kind of busy. Tuesday is pretty busy because everyone's here working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's a little bit different now, but we've been able to kind of like grow with it as the city's kind of like grown as well. And I think just the kind of way we've done this venue, where it's more about a beacon for a community rather than just being a cocktail bar, I think is kind of one of our best kind of traits, I think. Yeah.
And if people were to come in as well, there is the Guinness, but is there a cocktail that you think that they should try?
House martini. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we sell so many of it. I mean, last year we got voted the best martini in Australia. It's a real big. It's always been something that we push, but now it pushes itself. Like, it's our own blend of gin, our own vermouth. We chill it down to -18. It means it can get poured tableside, and even when it's cranking, being able to get a drink while you're not queuing is perfect for us. And I think it signifies exactly what we do. If we're going to do something simple, we want to make sure it's the best.
Yeah.
It's always the first thing that we push people.
Yeah, and then just like it's like, I think we kind of thought about it. It's like the three things that we do here. It's like Guinness, martinis, and records. They're all old, iconic, kind of classic, kind of like examples of that kind of genre, I guess. And we kind of brought it into the spot, and we kind of just don't change it, but just do it better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
yeah.
3 timeless pillars.
Yeah.
We're all right.
Yeah. And they take a long time to make. It's like the records take a lot of work. The Guinness is the longest thing takes us the longest to make a Guinness here out of any kind of other drink. And the martini, there's a lot of back end work to kind of make sure it stays cold and stays perfect. So, yeah.
Plans for the future? What have you got?
I think, yeah, we definitely doing a second venue is on the cards. I think our biggest challenge up until now, looking for something, is it's almost like the block party syndrome. It's like you kind of like do something well. Like, we just love this place so much, and it's so kind of interesting that every time we kind of look for something else, we kind of like put it against this, and we kind of go, well, it's not there yet, but definitely doing something different and something in the city is definitely on the cards. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be unique. Like, we're not going to rush into anything. Our worst fallback is that we work in our dream venue, which is here. Yeah, I think we're ambitious, but we're not on any timeline.
So if I was to make the suggestion of opening up a betting shop on the side.
Yeah, I think like the morality. I think there's one thing about working in betting shops is that you see the worst of people.
Are there any big challenges in this place?
Every day.
There's a million challenges, but we kind of turn the challenges into our unique identity, I guess. Like, it requires a lot of staff to work here, like, because of how odd the rooms are set up, but it means that we can provide a pretty high level of service all the time.
Certainly, like, it's a heritage building. Like, Ryan had to deal with all of that. So that's send an email off during COVID where they're running a skeleton staff. You wait 2 weeks to get an answer back, and then he fires an email back immediately. Slow process. Ryan works at like lightning speed, but it's also like, if you want to put a screw in a wall, you have to justify penetration, material, aesthetic, and we work at the pace that we set. So I think design-wise and getting this place open could only be done by someone who had a lot of money, or two, someone that was naive to the task at hand, right?
Yeah.
Because we walk in and go, this is amazing, not fully understanding the scope of work and time and effort that it requires. And that's where being naive is quite great. You know, because if you walk in and you know what it takes, you're like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
But we did it, and now you learn what the benefits are of doing it too. Yeah, they're like, I don't think anything's going to be as challenging as opening this place, but we're never going to learn the most out of any other venue besides what we learned from here. Like, this is definitely the stepping stones moving forward. Yeah.